What's going on, everyone? This is Jason and
Granola Brian
from the Super Sidekicks podcast, and we do apologize that it's been a little while. Unfortunately, been a little busy lately. Mostly Brian's been a little busy. What have you been doing?
A little sick. I've been building a fence too, though. I'm gonna build a fence in my yard.
Yeah.
But I've been sick for some of that too.
So as we know, Brian's fence has been taking priority over the podcast, and it's just been taking a while. But what's going on with you, Brian?
Not much. I am glad to be back. We actually, if we can, I'd like to start out with a question from one of our listeners.
Oh, we have a question?
Yeah.
All right. What's going on?
Comes from, it's not really video game related, which is strange, but it comes from Brian in Western Massachusetts, and it says, since hot fries exist, Andy Cap's hot fries, why do we eat anything else?
So from Brian from Western Mass,
Yeah,
huh?
he said that.
Oh, okay. It's Brian from Western Mass because, we don't have to, but that's part of freedom. That's part of being free.
Yeah.
It's choice. So, yeah, it can taste good, but at the same time, I think that's really what matters is there's freedom of choice.
I appreciate that. That's a good answer.
Yeah.
I think that Brian from Western Mass will really appreciate that answer.
Yeah, probably. So,
how about you? Any new games? Any new pickups?
No new pickup. I have had a couple of new pickups, to be honest. I've been picking up more stuff for my Neo Geo lately. So, picked up a couple of games for the AES as well as the arcade machine, the MVS. And yeah, maybe I'll show that off another time. I don't have them on me right now.
Cool.
They're over in my bedroom. So,
I've been playing a game that I got on Steam. It came out last year. It's called Hyper Light Drifter. I actually think that you'd probably be better at this game than I would. But
yeah, I saw it in the Dropbox.
Yeah, I added some pictures from it.
Oh, is that what that? I didn't actually look into it, but
Hyper Light Drifter is a game made by a company called Heart Machine. It's a very different video game from anything I've played before. It doesn't tell you how to play it, and it also doesn't tell you any of the story. There's no words and there's no written language in the game.
okay.
You have to interpret what all of the symbols mean. You have to interpret what the story is based on the visuals that you're getting. And it's a very Super Nintendo style overhead 2D fighter. And the fighting is it's like a ballet. You move very quickly and cut down your foes. And
Okay.
when you clear a room full of bad guys, you feel this
Is it hack and slashy or
hack and slashy, but classy. It's a classy hack and slash.
I think some of the other hack and slash games would beg to differ, but how dare you insult them like that?
I just mean that in the way that the everything congeals together. The music is super somber. It's the music's by Disaster Piece. What was that beep?
I have no idea, actually.
Everything's working still, right?
Yeah.
All right, cool. We'll
That didn't even sound like it came from the TV.
That was weird.
Do you have something in your bag or your phone?
No.
Wouldn't make that. Okay.
All right. Sorry. Well, anyways, Hyper Light Drifter. The music is composed by Disaster Piece, who did the music for Fez, and it's just this super somber soundtrack, and the visuals are super bright and pixelated, and it's a fun game.
It sounds like a fun game.
We'll have to play it sometime.
Probably I won't. No. But speaking of that, what's been going on in game news lately? It's actually been a good amount of stuff, I feel, since we last left off.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of some somber news. The NES Classic, the one that I did get my hands on, unfortunately has been discontinued.
Oh wow.
Yeah, Nintendo said that they had no plans to actually make this a long-term thing. That it was going to be kind of a quick thing and be done with it. But I think there's a lot of missed opportunity in that, and the fact that they didn't continue on with it because they really didn't produce that many of them. I'd want to say maybe 1 million units, but I'm not even sure. I haven't looked up the numbers. But they've been in such shorthand and such high demand and now really the only way that you're going to be able to get one's through eBay or third-party sellers, which kind of tempted to sell mine. Not gonna lie. I know, but the price is really good. It's like I think even an open one, which mine's open, I think some of them were going for like $200 or so.
Oh jeez.
So I don't know. Is it worth keeping? I'm not sure. But yeah, definitely a big missed opportunity for Nintendo. I don't know what it is with Nintendo and stock, but I mean, I remember when the Amiibos came out, they couldn't keep a lot of those in stock, especially for certain ones. The Switch has also had its own stock issues. I mean, we're already well past a month into the Switch's life, and they're still kind of difficult to find. I mean, they're starting to get out there more, but still, I mean, I don't remember seeing that when like the PS4 launched.
Yeah.
There was definitely plenty of them.
I was thinking about that, and I think that the difference might be an efficiency thing, because Sony and Microsoft make other products, so I feel like they probably already have these big factories, and with Nintendo, they're really gonna launch that one console and have that one console for a long time. And during the middle and later part of the years of that console, like say the Wii, I bet the Wii wasn't selling as many as they were selling in their first couple of, like, first launch. So do you build a factory or like a place that's big enough to produce the immediate demand to then have way too big of a warehouse for the remainder of your years? Or do you just do that limited stock until the demand dies down?
But I mean, I feel like you want to be making money. You kind of go off the hype, and this thing was definitely hyped. The Switch was
because of the inavailability, though. Like,
that happens.
You can't find the Switch anywhere.
That definitely happens, but I think they would have sold a lot more had they had it readily available, because it's new and it's different.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the NES Classic's another example of that. I mean, they put this out November, I think it was, right into the holiday season, and they had such a limited amount available. Think about, like, they could have sold easily over the holiday, sold 2 million units, I personally think. And I think I can understand that maybe they underestimated the demand for it. They thought, it's going to be something that parents are gonna buy, like, because of nostalgia, and I'm sure that's definitely true. But there's a lot of people who, at least in the retro game communities, that really wanted it, and it still has a pretty good demand. There's a lot of people I see in these groups that don't have it still, and I think it was a lost opportunity. They could have definitely made a lot of money, I think, off of it. And I mean, how much does this take to produce? I don't think that much. No, really, it's just kind of like it's a piece of plastic with an emulator built in and everything. And
I mean, for the most part, it's a proprietary retro platform.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there could be some things with licensing. Maybe they have a licensing issue with some of the games that are in there. Like Contra, for instance, is a Konami title.
Not all the games are Nintendo.
Yeah, they're not all Nintendo games, but still, they definitely missed out on a big opportunity, and it could have been like one of those things like the Atari Flashback. That's you see it on the shelves a lot of times, but this one I think really is more popular because it's Nintendo. But that said, there are some rumors going around that maybe a Super Nintendo Classic might be coming out.
So maybe they might be banking on the popularity in like a different way.
Yeah, I think, hopefully if they make good decisions, which Nintendo sometimes makes questionable decisions, hopefully they actually produce this in larger numbers, the Super Nintendo Classic, if they actually go ahead with this.
Yeah.
I still think I still think there was definitely more. I think there would have been more demand for the NES Classic personally, because Nintendo at that time was such a household name that even when I remember your parents like asking, "What are you doing? Like, are you playing Nintendo?" Like, it doesn't matter whether you're playing anything else, like any other console. It's like video. It was another term for video games.
Yeah, it'd be like on the computer.
Yeah, it's like, "Oh, are you playing Nintendo?" Yeah, exactly. So with that, it's I don't know. I think it sold more. I think it had that name, the original Nintendo. The Super Nintendo, I think, will actually do well still among the retro community, especially.
Yeah.
But I personally would be more excited for a Super Nintendo Classic because, you're starting to get into the 16-bit era where you see more like RPGs, for instance, or other types of games that aren't just, like for the most part, a lot of the Nintendo games are just quick, like little games.
Yeah. I'd love, and they probably won't do it, but I'd love it if they included like a cart reader, so I could like pop in some of my cartridges that I have still.
Yeah,
especially for the Super NES.
My thing is not. Yeah, a cart reader would definitely be really cool. I would love to have one of those, like just a built-in, because I have plenty of games that I would love to be able to play. They actually have a Genesis kind of version like that now too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think most people aren't. Some people are excited for it, but like they've been doing Genesis consoles like that for a while. But this one will actually have a cartridge slot. But the thing with them is it's still using the composite cables, not like HDMI. So I wasn't really interested after I saw that.
Yeah, it's a little harder to get connected to things.
Yeah, you're definitely gonna want the HDMI. But yeah, some games that would be awesome to see on that would be, Super Mario World's a classic.
Mm-hmm.
You could have another Contra 3 Alien Wars. Why are you smiling? Why are you laughing?
Love for Contra.
As well as I would love to see Super Mario RPG. That game is fantastic.
Is it?
Yeah, it was made by Squaresoft at the time, which is now Square Enix, the makers of Final Fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
So I would love to see that come out, and there's definitely Chrono Trigger is actually another RPG. So there's definitely a lot of potential in that system, and that's kind of when it was, you could have more story-driven games, and slightly less having to use your imagination on what the character looks like, But I like 16-bit is kind of like that classic, like that's the look a lot of people do when they think of retro too, those 16-bit sprites and everything like that.
Well, like I said, even Hyper Light Drifter is emulating a lot of the Super Nintendo games, just has a bigger engine.
Yeah, so yeah, I hope that does well. I hope it actually comes out. That, I mean, it's only
Hopefully
just a
we can
rumor.
get one.
Yeah, and that we'd be able to get one too, because I wouldn't. It would be stupid of Nintendo to make the same mistake again and not be able, because I think they could make so much money off of these things. So we'll see.